kids start school tomorrow, so we get back into a normal routine for us. But just very appreciative of this weekend. Certainly Saturday's game was a special moment for our program, and certainly thankful that we get an opportunity to have these type of situations within our athletic department, whether it's our program or some of the other venues that our teams have played in. A big shout out to our marketing group here in the athletic department for doing an outstanding job and getting the word out, and certainly the citizens of Madison, our Badger fans, for coming out. I mean, you put these events on, and they certainly have made them very rewarding for our players, and certainly thankful to people not only around the surrounding community, but certainly around the state, as busloads of people came from the northern part of the states with maybe some young female hockey players and just fans that wanted to participate in our events. So it was a special night. Certainly the players, as I talked to them this morning, are still a little in awe of the whole situation because, you talk about it, you put the energy, and our marketing people put a lot of time and commitment into it, and you're going to throw this big party, and you don't know what the end result was going to be. But as I mentioned after the game, as the national anthem was going on, you start looking around, and it was like, wow, this is really happening. So a heartfelt thankfulness for giving our players, our staff, and women's hockey really a shot in the arm. It was nice to win the game too.
So you had this vision a number of years ago. Do you have any other visions you'd care to share with us?
No, as I was driving in this morning, I was listening to you on the radio. The one thing that I thought about was, and we don't obviously play in the building, and I haven't seen a lot of games in there lately. As we're coming on the ice, and they mentioned the games at the Kohl Center and on the Bob Johnson Ice Arena, and it just sort of stuck in the back of my mind. And I was just thinking that if my dad was still alive and witnessed the game Saturday night, my mom happened to be in attendance at the game, and she just loved it. And I was just thinking, if my dad, who loved hockey, it's a great day for hockey we talk about, he just would have been smiling and loved every moment of that evening.
Did you get a chance to interact with any fans, parents, anything afterward? And what were their reactions like, if you did?
Well, usually the first person I ask is my wife, and she's pretty honest with me, and so she had a big smile on her face and really enjoyed it. I was out getting groceries yesterday, and the first guy I run into behind the deli department was at the game. He just thought it was the greatest thing ever. So, the initial reaction, from the people that I ran into, it was an enjoyable afternoon, and I think that's the most important thing. I think they saw some pretty good hockey, but most importantly, they saw a special event that in our business and on our side on the women's game, you don't see very often. So there was a lot of energy in the building. There seemed to be a lot of young kids, which made it that much more fun, I think, for our players. And as I talked to my players again this morning, they're nothing but smiles.
You kind of touched on it a little bit about all the turnout there, and what does that say about the future of women's hockey with all the numbers and all the people coming? That's got to be a good sight to see.
It is. I mean, it's really a shot in the arm. The interesting part is the game was on live television, throughout the state and throughout Minnesota. So, it's anytime you can get the exposure, our players appreciate it. But I think the big thing is, when the program first started here, I remember being at the first game against Duluth, and there was probably 3,500 people at that game, and that was sort of the starting point. And then it's the ability to to bring in quality players, put a product on the ice that our athletic department and the city can be proud of. And we've had some special players, we've had some special teams over the course of time, and our fans have recognized that. They've come out and supported us. We got one of the best venues in women's hockey with the opportunity to play at LeBon, and with these special events, anytime you can do that and expose your product to more people and to the masses, the more people are going to get involved in it and more interested in it, and the support is going to increase. So whether you were a St. Cloud fan or a Badger fan or just a hockey fan, you know, certainly was a very special moment for us Saturday afternoon.
I think you scored 4 on the power play over the weekend. Was that different strategy, different execution, or just the pucks going in where they hadn't?
Probably you guys asked me about it on Thursday. It's you know, it's interesting because at the end of the day, you look at the power plays, you either scored or you didn't score, and if you evaluate it from that standpoint, you'll get, you know, maybe one viewpoint. I think as coaches, you look at it at a couple reasons. You know, have you created scoring opportunities? Have you maybe changed the flow and the momentum of the game coming out of a power play that you may not have scored on? And so there's different ways you can look at it, and I think for the most part, you know, on all the power plays we've had this season, you know, we've been able to create, we haven't had the end result of what you want to do is score a goal, and certainly some of the combinations we had Friday night created some opportunities, and the puck ended up going in the net, so it ends up looking pretty good. It's more important that if you get one power play like we did Saturday and the score is 0-0, can you execute on it, and can you get the puck in the net? And you know, we executed on that. You know, Sarah made a nice pass through a seam over to Annie, and Annie, you know, has got a couple options coming towards the net with a puck, and she ended up seeing, you know, Emily stick and redirect, and before you know it, the puck's in the net. So, to me, that's a real important power play, and we executed on it.
Andy? Mark, from the time when Bailey came in to where she is now, is she where you thought she'd be? Is she further ahead of the game? Clearly her goal scoring has gone up this season.
Yeah, see, you know, she's having a very, very good season. You know, we talked about that a couple days ago. You know, obviously she's got a bunch of goals, but it just seems like she's a little bit more relaxed, a little more comfortable, and a little more confident than maybe she was last year. I mean, you know, if you look at her career, my wife showed me a picture on her phone yesterday of Bailey and I when she was about 6 at our hockey school. So I've known her a long time, been around her, and you know, she was a high-profiled, you know, young player growing up, obviously with a lot of pressure on her in different areas and going to Shattuck. But I think what I see this year is just being a little bit more relaxed, more comfortable, got off to a good start, and most importantly, playing with a lot of confidence.
Brandon?
Coach, coming off Fill the Bowl, do you have to refocus your girls coming into this weekend, or does it help that you're getting back into your regular school routine and everything?
I think, you know, the break is good, and, you know, whether we're coaches or players, you love the winter break. It changes our schedule in a real positive way, and the kids don't have to worry about going to class and writing papers and taking tests. But the length of it sometimes can get too long, and so I think this year, you know, it's coming at a good time. It's, you know, getting a good routine for our players, and so they may not agree with me, but I think in the overall picture, they like to be organized. They like a full itinerary, and, you know, that'll start up again tomorrow. But I think for the overall group, you know, the last 2 or 3 weeks has been real enjoyable, and we've made a lot of progress as a team.
Brian?
You mentioned you had talked with your team prior. How's Anne Renee feel coming off the weekend where she hadn't played in a while and, you know, played pretty well?
I think, you know, for all our players, I think she probably loved Saturday afternoon more than anybody. She seems to, you know, enjoy those atmospheres, and obviously it was a big one with the number of people that were at the game. And so, you know, the big thing with her is, you know, to continue to do some of the things that, you know, she's done the last 3 or 4 weeks as far as her, you know, routine. You know, when you get injured, your routine changes, and so you have to come a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later in your practice settings. And so, you know, she's played a couple games now, and she just needs the next 2 or 3 weeks continue to do the things she's done the last 3 weeks to get herself ready for, you know, this past weekend. So she's in a good place, and you know, if she continues to, you know, do the little things that she's been able to do in the last month to get herself ready, you know, she should be comfortable and confident.
Anything else for Coach?
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank